learned to just record and then upload. So, Mapa, welcome to Chairman Conversations. I'll shake your hand virtually.
It's nice to be here, finally.
Yeah, finally. And I must say, I'm super proud of you. You say these things every single day or every single week, and you hope it's landing somewhere. And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. You get people that talk to you a lot and then they're doing nothing. And then you get people that say nothing, but they're actually doing a lot. So it means the world, the position that you're in. I can only hope that Wumpo are in a similar position when they're done, because that would just mean my job done.
The job is done.
I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if we've got grander family goals. There was a point in the family where I looked around and I was like, you know what, nah, let me leave these adults and let me just go down here. If they can get it, then up here we'll make a plan, So it's I'm blown away, to say the least.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to repeat what you told me now that it's recorded. It's definitely going on my YouTube channel, and you're gonna see, and everybody's gonna see. So I won't mention amounts. I'll just say you've earned the right to get a free consultation for that matter. So again,
thank you.
There we go. I'm gonna share my screen.
Okay.
And then I'll just show you how to navigate the easy equities tabs. I just want to make sure that I'm not sharing anything sensitive by the time I share.
Confidential information.
Confidential information. Yep. Our license to trade. Just close that, and then I'll open. Also all together. Okay. I'm hoping that it's not too much for the bandwidth. My office is away from the rest of the house, so I end up having to hotspot myself if I want internet. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, this looks so professional. My God. All right. So it's the normal easy equities login. I'll erase that immediately. And I'll use an anonymous account. Ooh. That's awkward. Let me use this one. It should be empty, but I just want to show you where to navigate. Yeah.
Okay.
How does it feel?
How does what feel?
How does your situation feel?
I mean, I feel like, okay, I could do better. I mean, it's better than nothing. So there's no wow yet.
There's no wow yet. Can I tell you, there's never probably gonna be a wow. And for me, it's because you did it right. And I tell people that all the time, Hore, for as long as you're chasing the excitement of it, you're always gonna make rash decisions. You're always gonna do things that you're not supposed to do. I mean, I'm even thinking when you said to me that you want a better return than your bank account, I'm obviously very tempted to give you actual share recommendations, but I also know that, you know what, for how young you are, despite how old you may feel, you have so much time ahead of you that if you can build a solid layer of ETFs, nah, exchange traded funds, and I'll show them to you now, then you essentially have got the rest of your life to then participate in the share side of things. And that often goes against, for example, if you had come to me and said, Abuti, here's my money, manage it for me, then I would have put you in shares. But because you're doing it yourself, I'm more comfortable starting you with TFSAs. It is the better thing to do. 80% of us active investors hardly beat the market, but our egos won't let us accept that. So I'm gonna start you there, and then if you feel as if you want excitement, then we'll move parts of your portfolio to a more active side, and then there you can then decide that, okay, let me learn how to buy a specific type of share according to that specific type of investment methodology. Yeah, well,
Okay.
so I'm sure you're familiar with these, right? On easy equities, you can activate and deactivate all these other accounts. But essentially, for me, the two that I'll focus on, maybe three, with easy equities RA, which is a retirement annuity, right? For me,
Okay.
retirement annuity and a tax-free savings have got exactly the same benefits, except a retirement annuity is going to lock you in until you're 55. So it's never going to allow you to withdraw your money. I would advise that for the sake of, I'll give you an example. Nah? If I take 500,000 Rand today and I put it inside my retirement annuity and I leave it alone for the next 40 years, I will be able to retire on a 25,000 Rand salary in today's money at that 40 years age later. Now, 25,000 might not sound like a lot, but to a pensioner, in real terms, it's actually a hell of a lot of money. And most people don't have that type of a lump sum at the beginning of their journey, so they do it over time. And as a result, it doesn't get the benefit of compounding for 40 years. It compounds. So if I put in whatever, 100,000 or 50,000 this year in 5,000 Rand increments, it's essentially going to compound at the pace of those 5,000 Rands. So you can imagine if I put in 5,000 today and you put in 500,000 today, and I earn 10% and you earn 10%, you've just earned 50,000 Rands and I've just earned 500 Rands. And over the long term, my 50,000 Rand is going to keep compounding the same way your 50 Rand or your 500 Rand is going to keep compounding. But there'll always be that exponential gap between us simply because you started with a higher amount, right? So, strictly speaking, if you were my daughter, I would put it inside an easy equities retirement annuity. You'll hate me for it, but hey, at least I know that if you live to 55, you're gonna live a comfortable life, you know? The other advantage of a retirement annuity is that most people often think that you just have to wait for 55 for you to enjoy your money, right? The benefit that most people don't see immediately is that if you max out your retirement annuity now, already with the salary that you're earning, SARS already starts giving you tax deductions for having contributed to your pension fund. So you actually lower your tax rate because SARS recognizes that you're investing in your future, so they can trust you with more money in your hands. And in my earlier days, what I would do is I would max out my retirement contributions, and then with the tax rebate that I get at the end of the year, remember your employer doesn't see this. I get your employer will deduct their pension on their side, or if you're not on a pension, I know the medical field, they sometimes don't give you guys pensions. So you find that
They
your
choose.
employer, yes. So you find that your employer is contributing 10 to 15%. And then because SARS allows you a deduction up to 27.5% of your contributions, 25 and 27.5% of your income. And if your employer is contributing 15.5, there's a whole 12.5 that is essentially going unclaimed. So what I used to do in my earlier days is I would max out as much as possible my retirement annuity. And at the end of the year, if I get a tax deduction, that huge or a tax return, because I would declare that I've contributed an entire 12.5% to my retirement annuity. When I get that back from SARS as a tax refund, I then use that to fund my tax-free savings. So I'm actually getting a triple benefit in that way.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. Wawa. If you don't want to use the refund to fund your tax-free savings, it is just reducing your tax and therefore increasing your take-home salary to begin with. And that already in itself is an immediate return. So if you and your colleague are then receiving the same salary, so let's say 20,000 Rand each, they're not maxing out their retirement annuity. You've maxed it out with prior savings. SARS, let's say, taxes them 10%, they will take home 18,000. SARS will tax you 10%, but then they will say 27.5% of that you can get back because you contributed to your pension fund. And then essentially you will always have that 27.5% difference between you and your peer who just didn't have the savings that you had. And so that's the advantage with starting with a retirement annuity whenever you do these things. The tax is only gets taxed at the end when you start withdrawing it. So the money is growing tax-free your whole life. And that's why it has the same benefit for me as a tax-free savings. Remember, if you're earning, for example, if you're a top earner in South Africa, 45% of your income goes towards tax. So if you can get any tax-free vehicles, you want to maximize those. Yeah, well, and so this is one of them that essentially just says, I put in a huge lump sum, and for the rest of my life, I will always have a net higher salary than my peers. If I choose to spend that net extra by putting it into a tax-free savings, then I basically have got double compounding working in my favor. Tax-free savings is going to get capped at 500,000 Rand. So once you reach 500,000 Rands worth of tax-free savings, then you can't contribute anymore to tax-free savings. And for me, the advantage with that is that then for the rest of your life, it can continue compounding. At 55, they don't force you to take it out. And I normally would leave that till death, which makes it feel like, okay, then what's the point of it? The point of it is the compounding, because what you want to do is, so as financial advisors, actually plan your life backwards. If we can guarantee you a good life at the end, your life closer towards you starts getting easier and easier. And SARS also recognizes that. That's why if you contribute to a retirement annuity, they're willing to give you a huge deduction on that, a huge tax deduction on that, because they're recognizing that you're saving the government future expenditure on you. I'm gonna let what I've said simmer in now, I hope you can tell that I'm super excited. So I'm giving you everything all at once. If you have
I
any
can see.
questions, I think ask now, and then I can then build on everything else going forward.
Not at the moment. I think I'll let it sink in and then I'll ask
Okay,
as time goes.
okay. I'm gonna create a hypothetical scenario based on what you told me before the call, right?
Okay.
And then you can just see, I'm gonna give you option A, B, C. We may even get to D. Yeah, guys. When you listen to Chairman more, we have options. Yeah, yeah. No shade, but the people that sit in front of me, and I can only give them one option. And if they don't do it, I tell them, well, good luck. So I'm gonna say A, B, C, D. I'm just gonna make notes. I don't know if it's gonna be visible. Yeah, it tends to disappear like that on 4 columns. And then when I'm done, I'll just take a screenshot and send it to you. So in column A, let's hypothetically say you have 100,000. 100,000 is just an easy number to work with because it's a whole number. Right? You take that whole 100,000 and you deposit into your retirement annuity, right? Retirement annuity, 100,000. SARS allows you a deduction that is limited to the higher of the following. Number one, they will say take your gross salary and then multiply it by 27.5%. And SARS is willing to give you a deduction up to that amount. So with 100,000, essentially that implies a gross salary of 275. Please allow my slow mathematics. 363,000. So if you're earning more than 363,636.36 in a year, you know that SARS is going to limit your tax deduction to 100,000 Rand, which is 27.5% of this 363636, right? That's the first one. I must just actually make sure, is it the higher or the lower of a Sakra giving rookie mistake errors, rookie mistake, whatever, yeah. So the first one is 27.5% of your gross salary. The second one is 27.5% of your gross income, right? I mean, of your taxable income. The difference between gross salary and taxable income is you might find that you're getting a salary of 3636363, right? But you also are getting a rental income as a sole proprietor of 50,000 Rand. SARS recognizes that you actually can be contributing to your pension fund with that extra 50,000 Rand. And so they're willing to say, if gross salary plus other income is higher, we will give you 27.5% of that. I really must check if it's high, if it's the higher of. The reason why I think it's the higher of is because SARS wants to encourage you to do it. So that's the logic that I have, but I will check it. So the second one is taxable income. So it's salary plus any other incomes. So in your case, it would be if you've got interest. The thing is, interest will already have been taxed. That's why I didn't use interest as an example. The last one is 350,000 Rand. SARS says, okay, let's assume now you're really a big baller and your gross income plus this plus that allows you to contribute R1 million to your pension, to your retirement annuity. By the way, retirement annuity and pension fund is exactly the same thing. Pension fund just comes from your employer, and retirement annuity is like you now, where you decide that I want to get pension savings outside of my employer. And then that company that you get your pension savings from, for tax purposes, they're seen as your employer. So, yeah, or 350,000 Rand. That's what SARS will limit your deductions towards. So if you're in the hypothetical example where if your salary is 20,000 Rand a month times 12, that means that you're gonna be making 240,000 Rand in a year, and they will limit your deduction to 27.5% of that, which is 66,000, right? Actually, might be the law of, I'll check it, which is 66,000. And you having contributed 100,000 Rand lump sum into your retirement annuity, SARS will allow you to get the 66,000 Rand as a deduction on your 240,000 Rand. And then you only need to pay tax on 240,000 minus 66,000, which is on the 174,000 Rand. Meaning that they would have given you a 66,000 Rand deduction because you have contributed to pension. What happens to the remaining 34,000 Rand that is unclaimed? That carries over to the following year. And if in the following year you saved another 100,000 on top of the 34,000 Rand left over from the previous year, SARS will just continue rolling over the remainders like that. And you may end up just continuing to keep on getting 66,000 as your salary keeps increasing throughout your life. And that's how you basically compound the fact that you're saving for investment, but also getting a higher salary now in terms of your tax deductions. That's option A. You take it all, you put it inside your retirement annuity, and you start afresh, and you can decide, do I want to continue this retirement annuity loop, or do I want to go into the tax-free savings, right? That's where option B comes in. By the way, option A, I like it for kids. If I have a kid today, I'm depositing as much money as I can into the retirement annuity as they are 1 year old. 1 day old, not 1 year old. I'm not waiting that long. I'm depositing as much money, as much available money as I can into the retirement annuity. And the first day that they start working, they will get the compounded tax deductions. My kids may probably never have to pay tax. Literally. The second option is you put it in a tax-free savings account, right? Tax-free savings account, you can only do 36,000 Rand a year and up to 500,000 Rand in a lifetime, meaning that after 12.3 years, you will have maxed out your tax-free savings account. At that point, you'll be almost my age, so 35, with a maxed out tax-free savings. And at that point already, your money would have been already compounding without being taxed. What's nice about tax-free savings as compared to the retirement annuities, as I said, retirement annuities will only allow you to withdraw after you turn 55. Tax-free savings you can withdraw at any time. However, your lifetime limit will still stay. So if you deposit 500,000 Rand and then you withdraw 500,000 Rand from your capital, SARS is not going to say you have another 500,000 Rand that you can deposit. Now, the reason I would encourage people to max out that 500,000 Rand allocation is because the quicker you max it out, the quicker it can start earning dividends and the compounding effect of dividends. So now, after 12 years, when you withdraw from your tax-free savings, chances are you actually withdrawing returns and not withdrawing the actual capital. So you actually are never affecting your 500,000 Rand lifetime limit. You actually are living off your dividends. And it's tax-free, so SARS will never tax it. Unlike with the retirement annuities, at 55, when you start withdrawing it, SARS will then see it as an income at the amount that you're withdrawing. Yeah. And to just give you a rough idea or a rough example, I'm gonna open another web page where I'm going to show you the calculation. Are you still seeing my Easy Equities screen or are you seeing Google?
Google now.
Okay, Google. So it means it works. I'm going to say compound interest calculator, right? The one I like to use is this one, the easy looking one, right? So I will say your initial investment is 36,000 because that will be your cap this year, right? And then I'm gonna choose a conservative interest rate. So I'm gonna say it's growing at 8%. I see my internet connection is a bit unstable. I'll let it finish loading. Oh, it's ads. All right. Are we on the same page now?
Yes.
Okay. So your initial investment is 36,000, right? And you're gonna earn 8% interest. By the way, this is the minimum interest that you would get. Typically, your banks give you anything from 0 to about 6%. Then your bonds give you 6 to 9%. And then your stock market gives you 9 to 15%. Those are normal observed returns that we've seen in the markets. 0 to 6% is your banks, 6 to 9% is your bonds, and 9 to 15% is the stock market.
Yes.
So that's why I'm actually in favor of those two vehicles, because inside of them you own shares, and shares are listed on the stock market. And that's exactly what your pension fund does as well. They buy shares on the market. It's called Regulation 27, and it actually forces your pension fund to be 70 or 80% on the stock market. I think 20% in property, and then I think the remaining 5 to 15% offshore. So predominantly, even if you say I'm risk averse, your investment, 75% of them are going to be on the stock market by virtue of your pension. Okay, so your initial investment, 36,000. I'm being conservative by saying 8%, meaning that this is the worst that you can do. And I'm going to say for 12.35 years, right? Let me just make sure with the calculator. If I say 500,000 divided by 36,000, oh, it's 13.8. Oh, 13.8 years. So it's 0.8, 60% of 12 or 80% of 12, 9.6 really, and 10 months, 13 years and 10 months, right?
Yeah.
And then it asks any additional contributions. You'll say yes. You'll be making additional contributions of either of 3,000 Rand monthly or 36,000 Rand per year. So I will leave it at 3,000 Rand monthly, right? And then when are the deposits made? They are made at the beginning of the month. Because you already have the cash with you, at the beginning of the month, you'll just put in 3,000 into that particular ETF, right? And then your annual deposit increase, I'm gonna say 0. So you're never gonna say, I'm adjusting my 3,000 for inflation. You're just gonna keep on putting in 3,000 Rand as is, right? And then compound interval, I'm gonna say it must compound yearly, meaning that at the end of the year, that is when all your returns get reinvested and continue again. Normally, compound periods are more monthly. It's just because I'm being conservative. This is worst case scenario. I'm gonna use yearly. So when you get dividends and you've selected the option for the dividend to reinvest back in the company, you agree with me that that's gonna be immediate. That's more monthly than it is yearly. But I'm conservatively saying that you're first gonna accumulate all your dividends. Then at the end of the year, you're going to add your dividends to your capital amount, which is unlikely. But as I said, it's because I'm looking for worst case scenario, right? By the time you hit your 500,000 capital contribution, 13.8 years from now, if we calculate, you will be sitting on R1 million, of which 461,000 is interest and 498,000 is your deposits. And for me, that's the power of compounding. Mind you, I use the conservative 8%. This is the worst that you can do. At my age, you'll have R1 million cash sitting in your tax-free savings account. Newsflash, I don't have R1 million. Yeah, well, now what I'm gonna do, I'm going to take this amount, 9995892, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it now as, now we're standing with you in month, we said in 10 months, so in month 11 of year 13, you come to me, same Zoom call, Aunty, I've got R1 million, yay, I feel like I can do better, what should I do? So we can stop seeing my internet connection. I say to you, you are now, so if I take your current age, how old are you, about 23?
Yes.
Okay, plus I'll round up and say 14 years. So at 37, so as slightly older than me, you essentially have got roughly 28 years till you're 65, right? And I say to you, that same R1 million that you invested, that you have now, leave it for the remaining 20, we said 28 years. 27 years. Okay, let's work with 27 years inside your tax-free savings. And again, you will note that I leave the 8% as conservative. So meaning that if your return is higher than 8%, I'm even making provision that you can eat the rest of it. Just always make sure that you leave 8% of your portfolio inside there, right? So if, for example, on 1 million, if you get 15% return in one particular year, that's 150,000 Rand. I'm saying eat 70,000 Rand, leave 80,000 Rand to continue compounding, which I think is a fair return. Yeah, and additional contributions are none, because at this point your tax-free savings will have been maxed, right? And now you can't contribute anymore to your tax-free savings. Now they're just growing by themselves for the next 27 years at 8%. Are you ready for how much money you're gonna have at 65? You're gonna have 8 million Rand at 65. And that's at an 8% interest. As I said, the JSE on the upper side, we typically would give 15%. So the highest it can go to, so 8 million is the lowest you can have. The highest that you can have is the following. $43 million. And that's a conservative estimate because it's 8 to 15%. The stock market doesn't have to stop at 15%. And mind you, this 43 million, remember the first 14 years we compounded at 8%. And then the second 27, now we've just compounded at 15%. I don't even want to do the maths if we had compounded the whole amount at 15%. And for me, this is the easiest. I have 90 seconds left. These two parts are the easiest. So remind you, this is also happening in your pension, because remember what I said to you, your pension is exactly the same as your tax-free savings, because in your pension, you also are buying largely stocks. So you are expecting a 9 to 15% return over a long-term period, right? Compounded. So you're looking at exactly the same amount tax-free in your pension. The difference in your tax-free account is that at any point you can withdraw money and use it for whatever. Why I preach these first two, do you see how easy they are to do? 99% of adults don't do this. 99% of adults first want to buy a house, a car, pay it off, start a business, and only after those things have worked out, they will start working on their retirement. And I'm saying to you that now, while it's still easy, do this, and you're gonna buy a car anyway. You're gonna buy a property anyway. You're gonna start businesses anyway. Just you've afforded yourself the ability to put this money aside. And that concludes my TED Talk on 40 minutes on the dot.